So, Monkey Man is a movie I've been anticipating for quite some time. You have Dev Patel here, who is writing, directing, and acting in his feature debut. And let me tell you, it's a hell of a debut. He does almost everything right in this movie. 95% in this movie, I am fully on board on. And then there's a little 5% which did annoy me, some things in which I didn't prefer, but we're not going to focus as much on that. As a matter of fact, we're going to get to that at the later half of the review. But let's just talk about the premise real quick. The movie is about Kid, a young man who lost a lot of family and lost a lot of the community that he grew up with to the new regime that came in to take over. Many people died, and now he's on a mission to destroy the very people that caused him and his community so much pain. Dev Patel does an incredible job of layering every single point of this movie. The setting, the character of Kid that he plays, as well as all of the other characters that make up this phenomenal story. The character of Kid is so nuanced and so complex, and I know that there's been a lot of allusions to this being another John Wick, but he's one of the main reasons of why it's not a John Wick clone. Kid is not the fully formed package that we experience when we first meet John Wick. When we meet John Wick, he is who he is. He's the Baba Yaga.
The boogeyman? Well, John wasn't exactly the boogeyman. He was the one you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman.
Kid is not like that. Kid is, yes, a street fighter. He's an underground fighter. He wears his monkey mask, which was inspired by a story that his mother told him when he was young to give him hope, to help him keep the faith. But he's not that great at fighting. I'm sure he can kick a lot of regular people's ass, but when he's in that underground fighting scene, he ain't it. And there are some parts in which you may feel like he's holding back, and some parts where he definitely is holding back. At the same time, you can tell that he's not as skilled as he needs to be. And one of the greatest strengths of this film is showing him going from novice to master by the end of this film. Even with his mission that he goes on, when he's on that mission, something happens and it sets in motion a bunch of events that he was not expecting. And as me being in the audience, I felt, okay, that didn't go as planned. Now, where does the rest of the movie go from here? It's a very similar feeling that I had to Avengers Endgame. When Thanos gets his head cut off, you may be left sitting there thinking, okay, now where do we go from here? And where we go from here is still a great story. So it was awesome to see how it played out. Now, other than Kid, there are some other characters that I definitely want to bring up. One in particular, and that is Police Chief. That dude is the main antagonist. He's the guy that Kid wants to take out, and he is a badass. He's also one of the worst human beings that you'll ever meet. Police Chief, or Captain Singh, is his name, and he is the perfect foe for this film. I have often said in previous reviews, a lot of the times an action movie is just as good as its villain. And this villain elevates this plot. Every time he shows up, you're like, oh shit, it's about to go down. And he and Kid have this history together that just makes this entire story like yummy to consume, right? I don't think I've ever said yummy to consume about a movie, but it's appropriate here. Speaking of yummy to consume, audibly, the music in this movie is incredible. There's a particular part in this movie where a Rick Ross song drops, and it is the perfect mode for that exact scene. And let's also talk about the setting in which there are people in really low poverty, and there are also people in really high affluence. And the dichotomy between the two is one of the things that the movie really puts in your face. Dev Patel's character Kid, they show him sleeping amongst bodies across the floor. And then they also show the establishment in which there are high rollers and all kinds of different things that are too luxurious to believe in this current state of affairs that this country is in, and it's wild. Let's also talk about a particular setting in this movie, which is the temple in which Kid goes to train. When he gets there, he's broken and battered, but through the love of the people in that temple, he becomes the person that he's destined to be. It's awesome to see this training montage because they're using these drums. These drums are beating throughout this entire montage, and he's learning to punch to the beat of the drums. He's building his strength up. I love the fact that the people who are there, they're not just on standby, they're ready to get into the action, boss.
I'm just about that action, boss.
And let's also talk about the action in this movie. Those fights in the ring are incredible. There's such a great atmosphere that they set up with this crowd that's fully into it. You have one character who's the ringleader of the entire thing, who's trying to get Monkey Man to bleed a little bit more for his money. Then you get to the actual fights in the ring. These fights are brutal as hell. You do not want to get hit by these punches and these kicks. You do not want to get hit with these elbows. These dudes are knocking each other clean out. And there's a few times where our Monkey Man, he's getting dusted in this movie. Now, there is something I'm a little upset about, particularly with the fights in the ring, and that's some of the shaky cam. I hate shaky cam. It's not all throughout all the fights. There are parts of it that are shaky cam, and there are parts of it that are not. But the parts that are not are definitely worth the price of admission. And let's also talk about the mission. When he finally goes to the final confrontation and this dude is taking dudes out, he is killing these dudes brutally. There's one particular scene with a neck and a knife and some teeth that was incredible. I'm not going to spoil it, but it was wild and I was all here for it. So how many sparks would I give it? I'm going to give it 4 sparks out of 5. While I have you here, I have now reached monetization for my channel. Thanks to all of you, I'm finally able to start earning a living based off of YouTube. You guys may notice right there in the bottom corner that I have something called Super Thanks. You guys can support this channel and help it improve by donating right there for a Super Thanks, or you guys can sign up for a membership for the channel. There's a join button that's right down here somewhere where you guys can see the memberships that I have available. So if you guys want to support the channel, help me make this my full-time career, check out any one of those options. And if you don't have it, that's totally fine. I still want you guys to come back, check out my reviews. Let's talk about these movies that we love. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.